All right, friends, I just want to take a minute to show you a couple things on the AzMerit writing practice test. I'm hoping that sometime after spring break, maybe even just the day before the test on April 2nd, you'll be able to go through some of these pieces with your classes. If you have access to computers, or you can get access to computers, just because the process of writing an essay online is different than a process of writing an essay on paper, obviously. And even our kids that have done the online are doing their PBA online, it won't have happened yet, and also they're not doing anything online except for typing their PBA in their final draft into the computer, so it's not really comparable to what they're going to do on AzMerit. So just to get you started, you're going to navigate to azmeritportal.org. You're going to click on Take the Sample Test, just like we've done before. You can sign in as a guest, select high school ELA, and then work your way through all the little tests of things. I'm going to look at the ELA 10 writing today. Obviously, whatever level class you're looking at is what you're going to look at, whether it's 11 or 9. So the ELA 10 writing happens to be about driving less, getting rid of cars. So I'm just working my way through all this now, and I'm going to start the test. Okay, so once your students start the AzMerit test, this is what it'll look like. The documents are on the left side, and they can page through. They don't have to scroll it all. They can't scroll it all in the documents. They just have to page through everything. So 4 documents is pretty standard, as this one has. The first thing they want to do, of course, is look at the prompt so they know what they're writing about. This one's an explanatory essay to inform fellow citizens about the advantages of limiting car usage. So then the articles talk about why we should not have cars and how it's beneficial for lots of reasons. And so what they're going to want to do is read the articles, obviously, and look for those benefits and things that they can talk about in support of limiting car use. Here's the problem. When we're teaching them with paper tests, they go through, they read, they annotate, they take notes, they highlight things, they really use that as a resource. Well, the resources online are not great. So they can highlight within this document if they want to. So let's say they want to highlight the statistic 70% of Val Bond's families do not own cars. They would have to highlight it, and then they would click highlight, and it would turn it to yellow, indicating that it's been highlighted. They only have one color highlighter, which is kind of frustrating because if they're doing especially an argument paper, it'd be nice to have 2 colors, or, forget it, even 3. But they only have one color highlighter, and so they have to use it, efficiently, I guess. The other thing is, I teach my students that if you're highlighting something, you should always take a note about it. Well, there isn't a nice place. There's no place to annotate here. They do have this notes piece here, but it's just a notepad, and so whatever they type here, so like, let's say they said majority of families don't need cars, and then they kind of wanted to get to the why of that. They can save that and close it, but it's not attached to anything. So when they go back into their notes again, they find another, they're 4 pages later, and they're like, ooh, 80% of appropriations, blah, 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 something like this. I don't even know why this is important, but let's say they highlight that, and they want to take a note about it again. Well, what majority of what families? It's confusing. It's not nice. So a couple of options we have are to teach our kids to really strategically label everything in their notepad. So like source 1, and then paragraph 3. But let's say they highlight 3 things in that paragraph, it makes it a little bit more confusing. The other option we have is they're allowed unlimited paper, and so maybe an idea would be to teach kids to do that 2-column note thing, where you have on the one side about statements, on the other side they would have reflections, and then they would just number it, however many paragraphs there are for that, and then go through and as they're taking notes, just do it on a piece of paper so they can refer back to it. I do think there is a huge benefit to our kids to annotate as they're reading and take notes, to do a quick first read and then to go back through and annotate and do that. It's not a time test. They have as long as they need, and so we do want them to take their time and really do that. Once they're done annotating and reading and taking notes, and so just figuring out how that's going to look for your students and how you can model that and teach them that. The second piece then is that they need to plan their essay, and then they can do a rough draft and a final. And really that's going to look however you want it to look. Are you going to teach the kids an outline? What have you been using to help them prep for their PBA? That kind of thing. And then they need to type here, obviously in this box. Some teachers are encouraging students to do outline and a rough draft on a separate piece of paper before they go to the box and do a final draft. Some teachers are encouraging them to do, outline, then to rough draft in the box, and then kind of revise and edit and do a final draft in the box as well. Like just change the rough draft to make it a final draft. So whatever you think is best for your students in the way that's going to help them be the most successful, but definitely articulating that and teaching them that skill. So once they're ready to start typing, everything obviously goes in this box. This is all that's graded from the state. The problem with this box is that it's tiny, and so a lot of our students are going to look at it and go, oh, okay, my essay needs to be what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines long? Sweet, I'm good to go. But of course, we understand that their essay should be much longer than that. There's a word count box down here, which is a nice feature, because our kids should be getting, I'm going to tell our students that their target is about 500 words, which is about a 2-page essay. And so 500 words is where they're aiming. More than that is fine. Less than that really isn't. It needs to be about 500 words, with little exception in that. So if they're writing about driverless cars, freshman PBA last year, limiting car use, okay, so they have their thing there. You can see it gets my word count going. As they continue on down and type, it'll, go up and they can kind of scroll through. But that's what this box looks like. They don't really need to use any of this. If you wanted the students to do a sample for you, you're doing a sample together and you wanted to hold them accountable to that and give them some points, you can have them do the practice test and then they can actually print their paper, or they can, save it as a PDF or can import it. They'd save it into their Google Drive actually, because they don't have access to the printers from their Chromebooks, but they can do that. So that's kind of a nice feature. You can have them print it, or and then you can give them some points for participating in this planning thing. The other piece I want to show you is the dictionary. So it is right here. It doesn't, I was hoping it would look up words as you highlighted them. It doesn't. So, but they can type a word, and if it's found, it shows you the correct ones. If they spell it wrong, it gives them suggestions, and so then they can click on that and be like, oh, maybe I meant that one, and it'll take them to it. Oh, actually it won't take them to it. Sorry, they have to just change it. So they can see the suggestions and change it to that one. Okay. So there's also just, FYI what these do. The line reader, it highlights and actually reads the lines if they choose it to. So it can speak the passage, it can speak a section of it. The line reader highlights the different sections, so it makes it a little easier for some of our kids to see that might struggle with staying focused on the lines. So that's an option for them as well. Anyway, I would encourage you and ask that you would please go through somehow, whether it's just on the smartboard showing these features like I'm doing right now, or whether it's walking them through, logging in and doing this practice so that they can see what it looks like and experience some of the tools, but that your students do see the practice AzMerit writing test, so that when they take the writing test on April 10th, they're not super confused about where things are and how that works. That's wrong. The date's on April 10th. I apologize. They're taking it on April 3rd or 4th, depending on what level they are. That's when the AzMerit writing is. Anyway, I hope that helps, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Bye.